All right, here we go. Y'all, I'm so excited about tonight. This is our first call in March. March is traditionally one of our biggest months. Most of y'all know here, March Madness, iPads, iWatches, free shipping, all the things are happening this month. And we are also just kind of coming off the heels of an incredible leaders retreat. And every time I get home from a trip like this, I'm just reminded of what hangs in the balances of us being willing to step outside of our comfort zone and share this opportunity. They announced one of the really cool things they announced on the trip, and maybe Jill, Shannon, Libby, maybe y'all can help me remember the stat, but they announced that 70% of the people who earned the trip, there were 2,200 earners. 70% of the people who earned the trip were non-jewels. That means they are not six-figure earners. They are women who are building to the top of the company. And of that 70%, I can't remember what the stat was, but a huge percentage of that was first time earners. So that means that there is a huge amount of new growth in Plexus. And I think that should excite every single person on here that growth is here, that there is a whole new wave of momentum and opportunity. And like I've been sharing this for months. 2025 is the year that is going to set people apart in this industry. And really something that I've been thinking a lot about this week and really just thinking about the past couple of months too is just taking ownership of this opportunity and really what's in front of you. I was on a Zoom today. Libby, I think it was with you and Elena. I don't know if Elena's on here yet. But I was sharing today that
I am. I'm right here.
oh, hey, oh, yay. I'm so glad.
Hi.
Hey. Yeah, I think it was us on our Zoom, but every single month, I'm 8 years into this, almost 9 years into this. I look at our paycheck and I still will not get over it. Like I still will never get over it. And the life that we are able to lead because I said yes to Plexus and not just said yes, but actually dug into this and ultimately took ownership of where I wanted to go with this. And really taking ownership, when I think about that, like taking everybody comes into this on a level playing field. Okay. Everybody comes into this with a level playing field. But taking ownership is you saying, I'm doing this thing. Let's go. I'm creating the life that I want to live. Whatever that looks like for you, whether you're brand new, I know we've got a couple of new people on tonight, or maybe you've been in this for a minute and you've kind of had one foot in and one foot out. Maybe you haven't been showing up the way that you would want to. I want you to know that wherever you are tonight, you are not stuck. You can start exactly where you are and take ownership and build whatever you want to build with this. And I think to me, ownership really just means getting clear on where you're going and what act and that's going to require action for you to get there. So getting clear on where you want to go and understanding that that's going to require action for you to get there. Nobody ever built anything of note without taking action and having a vision. What kind of team do you want to build? What kind of team culture do you want to have? How are you going to get there? And what kind of action is that going to require of you? And for some people, like it looks different for everybody. Like maybe you come into this and you've got some personal work to do. Maybe you've got to do some mindset work. Maybe you have some fears and you have some doubts and you need to grow your self-belief. Hello, like that was me in the beginning. Maybe you need to grow a set of skills. Maybe you need to work on your networking. Maybe you need to work on your social media. Whatever it is, everybody has a different growth point. And if you're like me, you have lots of growth points. Um, in the beginning, I remember hearing people say that you're building a business. And for the longest time, I thought that meant that I just needed to show up. That if I got on the team calls long enough, if I posted my little heart out on social media, if I just kept going through the motions, that was enough and it was inevitably going to happen. And I think the unlock happened for me when I realized, and there is a piece of that that's true. Consistency, there is a piece of that that's true. You do have to continue to show up, but you also have to have that unlock and understand that you have to take ownership and go out there and create your vision. And that is the beauty of this, that this is what you make it. This is what you make it. Y'all, we have amazing systems on this team, like rock solid. Libby and I were talking about that today. We have a sharing system. We have a 7-day launch strong social media template to help you start sharing, to help your people start sharing. We utilize +1 with every single person who joins us. We have our silver series that actually kicks off tomorrow. Our March series launches tomorrow. We have wellness chat templates. We have everything that you need to have a six-figure organization, like full stop, period. We have an amazing culture and relationships, but ultimately your business rests on your energy, your action, and your activity and what you decide you're going to get to show up and build. And honestly, I hope that excites every single person on this call tonight. I know that it excites me. I love like knowing, and I remember thinking when I joined, I've never done network marketing before. I know a lot of you on here, some of y'all have done network marketing before. I had never done it, but I remember having the thought that this really can't be that hard to figure out. Like this isn't, y'all heard me say this before. This isn't rocket science. Okay. I'm not saying it doesn't have challenges, but it's not rocket science. And if I can teach a class full of 34th graders, I can figure this thing out. I can get over myself. I can get past my doubts and my fears and my skill set, and I can figure this thing out. It is crazy. And I've created content around this. It is crazy that we live in a time where women and moms can make the same income as a lawyer or a surgeon in leggings from the carpool line, in line for Starbucks, in between college classes. It is insane. And what it really comes down to is not are you qualified, not are you the right kind of person, or do you have X number of followers on social media? It comes down to are you willing to take hold of this and put in the work to actually seize the opportunity in front of you? And that willingness is everything. And I actually want to just kind of turn it over now to a couple of the ladies who were just in the Bahamas with us last week in Leaders Retreat. And when I think about that word willingness, um, you know, Kim's not here, but she would fall in this bucket too. Every single one of these women has a different story. They have a different background. They have a different set of skills, a different set of gifts. All of them come in with various amounts of influence. Some of them have been here for years. Some of them have been here for under a year, but each one of them is willing to do the work. They're willing to do the work. And I'm going to actually start with Shannon. Shannon, if that's okay with you. Um, and I just love her story. I love our story, Shannon. She actually reached out to me last year when I was on a Plexus trip. And she joined me for the business while I was in Mexico with Plexus. And here she is, like full circle a year later on a trip with me. She's become one of my dearest friends. We met on Instagram. And when I tell you that she is willing to do the work, and that's the reason she was on this trip with us, she is willing to do the work. I'm so excited to hear from her and just kind of hear her takeaways and hear some of the unlocks that she's had over the past couple of months, because I know she's had a lot.
Okay, I'm setting a timer because if you all know, I can talk. So we're setting a timer for 5 minutes. So I was really, really going to the Bahamas. One of the prayers in my heart and the mindset I went there for was the only word I can think of was clarity. I think for me, I know my whole story of why I found Plexus and how I found Chelsea. But I needed clarity because there is a gap from where I currently sit and where I want to go. And I think Chelsea and I have talked a lot about this. I think it's a check and balance because I think it's important to recognize how far you've come while also recognizing where you want to go. But I needed clarity on what makes up the difference. And so one of the things I decided to do was get out of I'm an extrovert, so it's not necessarily hard for me. I could talk to anyone anytime, but I wanted to talk to the right people. And so if I met someone that I knew that I have seen on Instagram, it was so interesting because we could just get right to the meat and potatoes. And so there's a girl I had followed. I know she just hit Jewel, and I was like, what is the gap? What did you do to get from gold to get to Jewel? What did you get to get from Ruby to this? And so every single conversation I had was, what did you do to get from here to here? And what was the shift? And so through all those conversations, I'm happy if you want to text me, I can share the couple of the things I learned. I should have written it down. But the number two things that I took away was mindset, which we all know this, but mindset in the sense of what Chelsea said is it is one thing to look around and be inspired and say, look at all of these women and what they were able to do. But the mindset to be like, I can do this. And what is it that I need to hone in. Rebecca Folks was one that I loved. If you listen to her, she's very transparent about I had to learn how to do sales. I had to learn how to do network marketing. And so when I look at this, the gap is believing that I can do it and then figuring out the set of skills required that are lacking and getting really good. And so for me, after doing all of those conversations and having those conversations, I needed to identify and get clear on the two reasons that I've chose Plexus. And so for me, it came down to something really, really simple. I 100% started for health. And at the same time, I am fully responsible as a main income earner. And I have always felt the separation between making money and being able to be home with my family. And Plexus solves both of those problems. We have a solution for our health, and we have ability where we do not have to choose to make money outside of the home. And so it's really my goal is to dial in and find the women that's their pain point. That is where they're at. Do they need help with their health? Who do they have friends that can help them have accountability? And who are the handful of women that feel like I have to make money and I hate that I'm missing a soccer tournament or a volleyball tournament or whatever it is that they're choosing? Not well, feeling, I guess the opposite is that you do not have a choice because you have to make money. And it was, I don't even have a word, whatever a word is that is bigger than inspire or captivating, but there is something to be in a room and realize it makes me emotional that all of these women decided there was a better way. And so there is something about that room that's like, it's a decision that there's another way to do it. There we go. And here's my last piece is this is absolutely a vehicle that can get you to a different place, but there's definitely income generating activities and what it is you need to be doing. But what has been on my heart since I've been home, because I'll be really transparent, there is Libby used her words so good on her story, and I'm going to steal it. And I'm going to mess up the word now. I need her to, like, a rude awakening, getting off.
Oh, violent. I was gonna say
Violent.
it was
Okay.
probably a made
I
up
need to
word.
post
Like
it
if
on
you
my
said I said
story.
it, yeah, if you said I said it in my story, I'm like, it was probably a made up word, but violent. I used the word
No,
violent.
it was not a made up word, but I'm going to tell you, going from a week of being around these women to going into a call center and making 100 real estate calls Monday and Tuesday was violent. And so my word and my question for myself, every thought I have is who do I need to link the arms with? Because you guys are our people. We're going to rally. We're going to cheer each other's on. Who do I need to link arms with to take me where I'm going? Not what I need to be doing. Who needs this? Like I need this. Who is it? And then go call them. So that's my
Will you share what happened today? Just like a little tiny, just
yes. I have a really good friend that we have done real estate together with for years. She's a single mama. She blows it out of the water in real estate. She is a hardworking mama. And the last she has really struggled as of late, the last couple of months. I opened the door for conversation. There's been little nuggets. I finally got her to order some Plexus. She was one I offered to buy her. Um, I'll get you the triplex. Just take it. This will change your life. And within 24 hours, ended up in the hospital. It was not Plexus, but she is now within the last 60 days on her fourth kidney infection. She is unwell. she is missing real estate and she's missing work. She's not worked in weeks. And this is someone, she was just so much has been in my heart and mind. And I finally called her today and just said, I'm sitting on that beach and you need to be on the next trip with me. And she keeps messaging me like, I want to go on the next one with you. I want to go on a vacation. I'm like, no, we're not going on vacation. We're going to start having control of how we choose our time. Vacation is just the side benefit. So I had the bold call with her and just said, I want to link arms with you. This will change your life. I don't know how we get from where we currently are to where we're going. I understand that gap is a little bit big when you think about replacing an entire income in a very fast pace. But I know we can do this if we do it together. Will you sit down with Chelsea and let's just see what this would look like for you? And she was like, I'll do it. I'll do it. I am ready. I have no control of my schedule. I'm missing my kids' tournaments this weekend, but I have to work. And I think we just have to remind ourselves and other people that it is normal to have a regular job and build your dream at the same time. And if it's possible for her, it's possible for me. And we have to be willing to be really uncomfortable, like really, really uncomfortable, because I cannot stand in a 6-figure income and show someone how to create that in 3 months. But what I can do, this is from Jill Renfro, is majority of people don't know where they're going. Show up and know what you're going, where you're going. And we just have to be willing to ask people to come with us. It's a leap of faith. So I'm excited. She said yes.
And it's like it's your energy that allowed you to do that. I think we've talked about this.
100%.
Yeah. And it's the decision. It's we were all writing in our, in the sand in the Bahamas, our next rank and our next thing that we're going to do. And it really is like a proverbial line in the sand. Like you have to decide. And those of y'all who have been in this for a minute, like there is very much an element of having one foot in and one foot out. Like I lived like that for years in Plexus, where I wanted the community and I just wanted to hang around. And like I said, I was just showing up, but I had not drawn that line in the sand and decided that this is where I'm going. And once you do that, everything shifts. Everything shifts once you put the line in the sand and you're like, this is actually where I'm going. I don't care how long it takes me to get there, but this is the life I'm building. This is where I'm going. When you do that, your energy changes and the way that you show up changes.
I bet you this is the 7th time, maybe more than that we've had the same conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It was my energy.
Yep. 100%. I love that. Jill, will you share next? Because I feel like you've had some of those shifts at different points in this year. Will you be willing to share next?
Sure. Okay, so that was my second leaders retreat last year. I got to bring my mom, which was just so awesome. And it's actually such a different trip when you don't bring kids. But this time bringing my husband and my kids was like, I mean, just like I could cry talking about it, because not to get into too many details, but we've had some struggles over here in our house, marriage struggles, family struggles. And when I really decided to go all in with Plexus, it was a little bit rough around here. So when things got better, my husband didn't really understand what this was. He didn't understand like the power of me doing what I was doing versus going back to the classroom or restarting my cleaning business, because it was super important for me to still be home with our kids. And I was at that point in our lives because our finances took a really big hit after the pandemic, a lot of struggles around here. And this was the vehicle for me that's still allowing me to live out like that dream of being home with my kids. And so being able to bring him to see and like kind of catch that vision and to meet other husbands or just women on our team, and just to see the big picture. I think he was kind of like, more bought in after seeing this. And my kids, it was like, we've never gone on a family vacation. Like we've gone to Great Wolf Lodge, which is great, but we haven't been able to afford those things. So this was like, for them, they were like living their best lives. And I just could sit back and like, I just like was soaking it all and being like, all of the hard work that I put into this, they're able to like bear the fruit of that now. And that was one of the coolest things about this leaders retreat for me, is that I got to share it with them. So I'm about 4 years into Plexus, and like Chelsea said, I started out kind of strong. I went fast start Ruby like in the beginning. So I was like, because my why was so huge, and obviously I've gotten into a few of the details, but it was, again, like it was needed. We needed money. Our businesses were shut down. We almost lost our house. I mean, there's so much to this part of my story. So I had to work really hard. And so I get to Ruby, and for like 2 years now, I've been dropping rank and getting back, and it's been really frustrating. But I will say I'm actually just recently learning that like I had to pivot. Sorry, but I'll be right in. Okay. I have a little crawler on the floor behind me. I'll be in a minute to put you back in your room. But you can stay there for a minute. So anyways, I have been screaming about the products for an incredibly long time, which we have amazing products and it's really easy for me to talk about them. But I know that where I want to go, I'm not getting there anymore by sharing the products to the level that I was. So lately, and I know a few people have told me they've noticed me showing up differently on social media, but I've actually just figured out who I'm trying to reach, which is a little embarrassing because I feel like like any meetings we've been on, people have said like, who are you speaking to? And I never actually took the time to figure out who my person was until recently. And now that I'm doing that, it's funny because I'm kind of bold. If you follow me on social media, I talk about a lot of controversial things. My following is like going through the roof. I thought I'd be losing people, but I'm actually showing up so much more authentically myself that I'm bringing in my people. So there's so much truth to that. When we're told like you have to speak to your person, like it is true. Like you do not want to be somebody else. I tried that for a while. I was following some Plexus people and I like following them, but it wasn't working for me because it wasn't who I was. And so it's been a really cool shift. I'm sharing about the business so much more, which I think is a thing we all need to really grasp. And I wish, like, as I start to build a team now, that's what I'm trying to share is like, you could get there so much quicker. I mean, I'm 4 years in, and this is what, Chelsea will say and Kim will say, like, if they can help us or we can help our teams to maybe offset some of that, share the business more and do it boldly and unapologetically. Because when you get on these trips, you will see the power of like, I mean, this company, I still don't understand how they make any money. You get on this trip, you earn the trip, first of all, for you and a friend or a person, whoever. Then you get these gift boxes with hundreds of dollars of products and prizes. And then you get like Bloomingdale's must have been over $1 million or $2 million. I can't even put my mind around it. And the other thing you'll realize is when you get to these events or even convention, if you haven't been to it, we can honestly like know without a doubt that our company isn't going to do to us what's happening all over the network marketing world. And that is so reassuring when you're pouring yourself into this to know that it's not going to be swept out from under you. They say it right on the big stage, like they have our backs and they're not changing this model. And so their integrity is so incredible. And so like the more I get to these things, the more I just feel so aligned and just so thankful that somebody was bold enough to share this with me, which is why I know that I need to do the same thing. So anyways, I don't know if that answered your question or what I was supposed to really talk about, but the leaders retreat was like such a gift to be able to bring my family. And I feel a whole new like fire inside of me to just keep going and growing. And at whatever rate that is, like I will get to where I want to be as long as I don't quit, and I don't plan on it anytime soon. So
I love that. And I love that you said something like, it's embarrassing to say. Absolutely not. Like, that's why we have these calls, is because I need to hear what you have to say, because I want to help. We want to help everybody who's on this call get there faster. And the only way we do that is by sharing. And there's different levels of unlock the longer you're in this. And I feel like Libby, maybe you can speak a little bit to this too, because you're next. Just exactly what you were speaking to, Jill, of you've got to figure out who that is absolutely a key piece of this, figuring out who it is that you're talking to. And Libby and I talked about this so much on the cruise. I think I said to Shannon today, I was like, I felt so old rooming with Libby. Love you. You're my spirit animal.
We love you.
We're in totally different seasons. But that's the beauty of this. We're in completely different seasons of life, speaking to completely different groups of people. But every group of people needs this.
Mhm.
So, Libby, I feel like that's something you've done such an amazing job of recently, of just getting really clear on who it is that you're talking to. So, I'd love for you to just share all your unlocks. What's your biggest takeaway? What's working for you right now? Because you're doing an amazing job.
Oh my goodness. Thank you so much. It was the best. So Shannon, we had met at convention, but I feel like this time Shannon meeting me, she's like, "Oh my goodness, like I just say things. Like I don't have a filter." And there were a few times where Shannon would be like, "Oh my goodness, I can't believe you just said that." I was like, "Well, why would I not?" And I think that that's kind of like how I've gone about like content and action is why would I not? Like, why would I try to beat around the bush? Why would I try to fill my day with fluff? You know, like we all, unless you are like Elena and brand spanking new, because she literally joined me yesterday. Unless you are like brand spanking new, you like aren't really sure what those action steps are. But if you've been in this for a hot minute and you've seen all of the systems and all of the steps, I'm going to hold your hand when I say this. You know exactly what you need to be doing and you are avoiding it because it's hard. And let me tell you something. Yeah, it is hard. It is absolutely hard. Like there are going to be like it's been like I don't say like, "Oh my God, this is the hardest thing I've ever done." It's hard because you're stepping outside of your comfort zone. It's hard because you are boldly walking in the path that God has planned for you, and that is hard because Satan is also going to come hard for you. But like, you know, Chelsea's going to die when I say this, you know, like Kris Jenner works hard, but the devil works harder. You know what I'm saying? Like like it's true, but like you know exactly what you need to be doing. And I think sometimes you can get stuck in this hamster wheel feeling like you're trying to recreate the wheel, and I promise you, you don't. And I can say that because if y'all don't know this, I actually joined Plexus back in 2017. I was 20 and I had the drive. I had all the things, but I did not have systems. And I really like the longer that I'm in this, the more I'm like looking, I'm like, that's why I failed. It was also part of God's plan for me to go, leave, and come back. But like, y'all don't understand what a gift it is to have Chelsea because all of the guesswork is out of it. Like, if you are sitting there at any point in your day and you're just like, I don't know what do you like in the kindest way possible, like you do know. And you're like today, I texted Chelsea, like I had a few girls that I wanted to reach out to, and I was scared. I was like, why am I scared? Like, are they going to pay our propane bill? Like, my fear is not going to pay that propane bill. And you have a propane tank, that thing is like, golly, it's expensive. You know what I'm saying? Like, your fear is not going to pay your bills, and other people's opinions aren't going to pay your bills either. And something else that I have learned is like you can't say the wrong thing to the right person and you can't say the right thing to the wrong person. You know what I mean? So like you might as well just show up and take the action anyway. You know? Like show up and do it. And when I say action, like are you posting like content that is in alignment with who you're speaking to? Because this is something that like I feel like I've really dialed in recently, and this is something that like I teach Mags and I teach the girls on my team is like I didn't attract girls like Maggie and Elena and the new girls that I've got coming in just because I'm like throwing content at the wall and hoping that it sticks. It's intentional and it's bold and it's to the point, and that's the point. Like don't add the extra fluff because we also, and maybe this is, well, no, I don't even want to say it's different for Gen Z because it's not, because everybody has a very short attention span. Like if you are not getting your point across in the first like 2 seconds, you're not gonna get it. Like condense it. And sorry, I did not set a timer and I totally should have because you know that I'm just gonna listen to me. Listen. Use ChatGPT for the love of all things holy. Listen to me. Maggie, do not laugh. Chelsea, do not laugh. Shannon, do not laugh. I can see all of you just like losing your minds right now. Listen, ChatGPT and I like this. It may be because my husband just got deployed and it's the only person that I talk to all day, but it's fine. If you are not using ChatGPT, you are missing out on something big. And Chelsea and I have talked maybe next week or the week after. I'm happy to host a call on ChatGPT because you need to be using this tool. And like use it for everyday life. Like just start getting in the habit, because don't talk to ChatGPT like it's a robot. Talk to ChatGPT like it's a human, and it will start it will start spitting out human like content. Like I remember, I will never forget, Maggie and I sat down at lunch and I told her to use ChatGPT, and the stuff that it was putting out was so incredibly cringy. And I was like, Maggie, tell it, like you're being cringe. And she was like, what? I was like, tell it it's being cringe. And then it won't give you stuff like that. Like you have to tell it. And I think a lot of people get discouraged by ChatGPT because they give it an idea and then it's like, that's not it. Say that. Say like, that's not it. I will, or like one time ChatGPT gave me hashtags. I was like, don't ever give me a hashtag ever again. Don't ever do that to me. Don't do that. Like, don't do that. So maybe I will do it, but there are so many tools and so many resources that you are bound for success if you are willing to hone in. And like the clarity is so important, the action is so important, and the vision. Like my unlock for this, and I think Shannon looked at me like I was a little bit crazy when I said this. Um, my unlock was like, I'm running for Emerald this year. Like this is my Emerald year. But when I would say that, it didn't like light my soul on fire. Like I was like, yeah, like I'm running for Emerald. That's great. But I had an unlock when we were sitting in session. I was like, I'm not meant to be an emerald. And that's not to say that emerald isn't a great rank, but I am meant to be diamond. Like that is what God has planned for me. Emerald is along the way. But when I talk about being a diamond with Plexus, I'm like, get me there and get me there now. Like, what do I need to do? Like, how many women do I need to teach and inspire to show up and walk in their God-given purpose? Because that's what God has planned. And so I think sometimes maybe you're not dreaming big enough. Like Emerald is a huge stepping stone in this, but it's not my final destination. And so sometimes I think we are looking at like a microscopic goal and zoom out every now and then. Like zoom out and be like, what do I really want this to look like? I had a moment, sorry, Chelsea, I'm almost done, I promise. Um, I was listening to the song today. It's like the She Comes from Silver Spoons. Do you know that song? Do you know what I'm talking about? No, Maggie does. Anyway, talking about like two different people, like how like one person grew up like in a very wealthy home and one person did not. And I'm like, I want my kids to grow up in a wealthy home. I'm not anywhere near having kids. I can't at the moment. But that doesn't mean that that can't be part of my big microscopic view, right? To want that for them. But for right now, I want to give my dogs a bougie life and buy them bougie dog food and nice toys that Harvey will destroy in 10 seconds. But whatever. You know what I mean? So casting really big vision for yourself and just allowing yourself to dream really, really big, because I also think, and this is something that I have had a really hard time overcoming, is like, as women, I feel like we, even from a really young age, like I'm not that old, and I have this like concept in my head that I'm actually not allowed to dream big. And that's so far from the truth. Like, dream so big for your life, because one, we only get one shot at this, and like God created you with that dream in your heart with purpose. Like, when on the days that I'm like, I don't know about all this, I'm like, Libby, but this is so much bigger than just you. You know, like this, like by Chelsea showing up, my life was affected and everybody's lives on here was affected. And like by me showing up, then that affects Maggie's life and Elena's life. And it's a trickle down effect. So like think about it like that. And when you're creating content, speak directly to that person. And I'll do this when we do the ChatGPT training too. Like I named her. Her name is Sloan. Like the girl that I'm talking to, her name is Sloan. Like I gave ChatGPT like all the characteristics, where she's at in life. Like, so when I say like make a post, I'm like, make a post talking to Sloan, because then ChatGPT will. Like they will do that. So I'll have to do a training on ChatGPT and content, because that's my wheelhouse and my favorite. Okay, I'm done. Wow, that was I
Ashley,
talked so fast. I'm so sorry.
I cannot wait for your training. I think we need to add it in March. I've already got a calendar, but I think maybe we need to add that for March, because you are so good at utilizing that tool. And if you're listening to her and that overwhelms you and you're like, what is she even talking about? That's also okay. Like
Oh, yeah.
we also have tools that you can, and again, this is a stair step. Like this is a stair step. And the point is to keep growing.
Yeah.
I know that we try to keep these right at 30 minutes. So I am going to close this out. as we close out, a couple of reminders I just want us to kind of like hone in on and just leave us with tonight. I want to encourage you to front load this month. March, like I said, is traditionally one of our biggest months because we do have the iPad incentive, the iWatch incentive. We're doing free shipping for new VIPs through the 14th. And I think our tendency in a month like this is that I've got all month to find 6 people. Front load your month, put in the work, run your wellness chat, make your connections so that at the end of the month, you still have time for follow-ups and you can use the end of your month to be closing conversations and not starting conversations. Do your due diligence, get in those conversations. The Silver Sprint series starts tomorrow. Libby, do you want to say something?
I do. Just really quick, I know that y'all have heard a lot from me today already. But when you front load your month too, not only does that like help you get the incentives, but like if you get somebody like in your first week, you can turn around and help them get the iPad too. Like that's another one of those like bigger views of like this isn't just about us anymore too. Like who's in my wheelhouse, who's in my feed who like could benefit from an extra $500, whose Apple Watch is literally dying me and needs an Apple Watch but can't afford it otherwise. So it's a good thing to think about it that way too, is to like serve other people in that aspect too. Okay, now I'm for real done. I love y'all so much. Goodbye.
Oh, it's so good. You're always saying that. Don't block the blessing. So don't block the blessing for someone else too and assume that they don't need this because they do. And the other thing I'll encourage y'all to do, Silver Series starts tomorrow. The link is in our chat if you need it. And if you don't have somebody right now to plug into the Silver Series, plug yourself into the Silver Series. Everything that we're sharing there is the meat and potatoes of this business. We're going to be talking about, well, we're doing the posting challenge in there just the same way that we're doing it in our team chat. If you're kind of at a place where we were talking about at the beginning of this call, where you feel stuck, where you feel like you need to get into action, plug into the Silver Group. Your goal every month as a business builder should be to be bringing in 3 new customers anyway. Like that's the baseline. You need to be bringing in new customers yourself. So plug into the Silver chat as if you were a new Silver, if you're finding yourself struggling. So plug somebody in, but plug yourself into there and also get into action. So if you're not there, join the chat. We're going to start that first thing tomorrow morning. We'll keep things going in our team chat, and we're just so excited. Elena and Jenna, it was so good to have y'all on tonight. Welcome, welcome. And we'll get things kicked off tomorrow in our Silver Group on Instagram. Love you guys. Y'all have a good night.